Good to have you with us. Well, we have a special guest for this edition. Oscar-winning Palestinian filmmaker Basel Adra has been calling for global action to protect the people of Gaza and the West Bank during an address at the UN in New York. The 28-year-old co-directed No Other Land, the documentary that won an Academy Award at this year's Oscars. It tells the story of the forced displacement of Palestinians by Israeli troops and settlers in Masafer Yatta, an area Israel had declared a restricted military zone in the 1980s. Well, journalist, lawyer and filmmaker Basel Adra joins us now. Thanks so much for being with us on the programme this evening. Basel, it's great to speak with you. You're a multi-award winning documentary at this stage. It captures the plight of the besieged community where you yourself were raised. Just tell us why it was so important for you to tell this story.
Thank you for having me. Yes, I catch a camera, I start to go in the fields and in my community in Masafer Yatta since I was a teenager. I want the people to know that we exist in this part of land. I want the people to see what we are suffering and our daily life under this brutal occupation. I want the people everywhere in the world, mainly in Europe and in the US as the closest allies to Israel, to understand what their government is supporting, and that the people should be aware of what's happening to us, and they should be part of the change, that they should push for a change to stop this brutal occupation and apartheid system for a better future of equality and justice and freedom for Palestinians and full rights.
And that's your message, isn't it? You're at the UN in New York today calling for global action to protect Palestinian rights.
Yes, today we Palestinians are in a very critical, living in critical conditions in the Gaza Strip. The killing doesn't stop, and all the time. Israel is just launching these bombardment campaigns on clinics, on schools, on streets, on targets like humanitarian workers. And in the West Bank, there is in the Northwest Bank, there is the military campaign. They launched it in January. Until today, over than 45,000 people are displaced from refugee camps in Area A. In Area C, where I live, in Masafer Yatta, in Jordan Valley, settlers violence and attacks raised in very high number with the help and facilitation of Israeli soldiers and police, Israeli police, who in many cases has just helped the settlers in the attack. If I may tell you, last weekend there was attack on a village of Masafer Yatta where 20 settlers invade the community with sticks and guns and attacked a family inside their home. A man with his son were transferred to the hospital and to the ICU in critical conditions. They were injured in the head after settlers attacked them. Other 5 people also were hospitalized from that community. A lot of homes, properties were smashed by these settlers. When the soldiers came to the village, they abducted all men from that community. 26 men were abducted by soldiers, and 0 arrest to the settlers, to the terrorist settlers who came wearing masks on their faces and carrying guns and sticks and attacked the community. 0 of them got arrested, and in the night, over than 100 settler and soldier in uniform invaded the same community and smashing the school furniture and the solar panels that serve the electricity for the school, the windows, the food for the families, going from home to another, vandalizing houses, wasting the food, smashing properties, furniture, detaining people outside of their home and terrorizing them. These attacks doesn't stop, and since the beginning of the year, of this year 2025, we have about 100 settlers attack on our community. So international community and the UN need to move to take serious actions to stop this and to protect us as innocent Palestinians living without any protection and surrounded by these settlers, soldiers, armed all the time, and doesn't hesitate any opportunity to approach us from our homes and our land.
And Basel, what has your own experience been since winning that Oscar? I believe you feel that you were perhaps being punished by certain people after you returned home with that Oscar win. What has it been for you since then, and how did it feel to win that Oscar?
Yeah, unfortunately, since we won the Oscar, we went back to our reality, to Masafer Yatta, and face what we face from this occupation. Almost there's a daily attack by the settlers and soldiers together. Demolitions doesn't stop of homes and infrastructures for us Palestinians living in that community. And my friend and colleague and co-director of No Other Land, Hamdan Belal, was attacked about 1 week ago by settlers at iftar time in the last days of Ramadan at 6 p.m. exactly at the iftar time. About 20 masked settlers invaded his village with the soldiers and Israeli police. They started vandalizing homes, smashing like cars and stabbing water tanks and smashing windows of the families. And one settler with 2 soldiers chased Hamdan to his home while he was filming the settlers attacking his neighbor, and then he ran back to his wife and 3 kids, and he locked the door, standing outside, preventing the settlers to enter his home and to attack his children and his wife. Unfortunately, the settler recognized him and went with 2 soldiers to Hamdan's house, while the other settler soldiers are like vandalizing other homes in the community. They attacked Hamdan in front of his door, on the head by the guns, and kicking him and like with their hands on his face for 15 minutes, and then he was abducted by the soldiers and he was kept blindfolded and handcuffed in one of the military bases in the area for almost 20 hours. The soldiers refused to give him water. They were humiliating him all night and making jokes about him and the Oscar and beating him up during the night when he was like with the soldiers, refusing to inform us as his friends or his family about his situation. I personally saw his blood in front of his door, and we were like very worried for his safety. They refused to give any details until on the next day afternoon he was brought to Israeli police station located on the settlement on Hebron city, and he was questioning of attacking a settler, the same settler who came to his home and attacked him, complained against Hamdan that he attacked him, which is totally false. And only after he paid a bill was able to be released and going to the Palestinian hospital to get treatment. And yeah, so this was an act of revenge and punishment to Hamdan, to me, to the community of Masafer Yatta for the attention and for the Oscar winning. But also we have to make sure that people understand that this settlers' violence is a strategy, is a state strategy by the state of Israel to erase us from our land and to erase Masafer Yatta communities, to expand the settlements and illegal outposts and military bases on it.
It's an extremely difficult situation for people there, as you describe it. What do you make of the international reaction to what's been happening in the West Bank, to what's happening in Gaza, and what message do you have today for the Israeli people?
To the international community, they need to move, and they need to stop being silent. And it's not time for concerns and for condemnations. It's time to act. Every day, Israel, like, is not just through this settlers' violence that I describe and military campaigns of demolitions, but also through the ministers, the governments saying publicly they're gonna annex more and more of Palestinian land and legalize more of illegal Israeli outposts and build more settlements and destroying like our homes, which is like they are saying it publicly that they are changing the facts on the ground and displacing us. We really feel fear today of our existence on our land, and international community need to act and to react to the Israeli actions, not with words, not with condemnations, but with serious actions to enforce the international law, to make Israel respect the international law and hold accountability for its crimes, so we can find a solution with equality and future and freedom. To the Israeli people, I don't know what message I have. Unfortunately, I know that over the 90% of the Israeli people supporting these such policies, and they are not protesting against it. They are not like trying to have any pressure on their government, on the settlers' violence, on the military like bombardment campaign, the mass killing of the people in Gaza. I hope that it will change, but I believe there will be never ever a solution that coming internally. It should come from the pressure of the international community and serious pressure to find a solution.
And Basel, do you have hope for the future? Your documentary, it brings together people from both sides of the divide, from both sides of the conflict. Was that important for you as well, to tell the story with people from the two communities?
I want to tell people that my relationship with Yuval and the characters in the movie should not give a hope that there will be a solution within. Internally, people like Yuval in the Israeli society are very counted, are very small minority. People who reject publicly the occupation, the apartheid system, and they are just activists against what's going on, against the Israeli policy, against us as Palestinians. Again, the pressure should come from outside. The international community should take a responsibility and to act against this. Talking about hope today is very hard, to be honest, with what I'm describing, the facts that on the ground. But we don't have to lose. I am not losing faith. I'm not giving up. My people will not give up, and we have to continue to fight. And it's urgent. Is the time passing, and international community need to act to end these atrocities.
Basel, we wish you all the very best. Thanks so much for being with us on the programme this evening. We do appreciate your time and for taking us through all of that. That's journalist, lawmaker and Oscar-winning filmmaker Basel Adra.